give it to other people. We have a map veto to pull up for game number 1 against PENTA, against PENTA versus Natus Vincere, and have Bank, the first one, removed. Again, this will be our ban thing.
It's new, but it's a lot easier to follow now, as you can see which maps are going to be removed from... it is not LEDs, that's true. You're not going to see it behind you, but would you look at that? Kafe Dostoevsky.
Okay.
Brand new and back to the map pool. So worth noting, one of the changes that happened in between the Season 9 finals in Milan and then the Season 10 first match today is that Oregon kicked out of the map pool. We don't want Oregon in here anymore. We want Kafe back in. That's what they said. We got Kafe Dostoevsky, the newly renovated. It was closed down for some renovations. It's back now, and we're going to see it in match number 1.
I think we can take a sip of some Russian tea there. Maybe Empire will be playing on there as we go in the day. But we have your basic predictions for this match. Let's see, 61% for Penta Sports versus Navi. I think that's very, very fair. At this point, there's a lot of hype behind the Navi squad. But at the same time, it's Penta. They're very proven. The Vegas Minor wasn't the biggest show of force for them, but they definitely have the pedigree to back things up compared to what Navi has. And again, you can participate in all of these yourself by just going on our social media at ESL Rainbow 6 on Twitter and just vote in all of the polls that we have. We have one around an hour that goes live an hour or two before every single match. So you can pretty much vote on them and vote on the MVPs for all the games. That's something I think we're going to keep doing. It's pretty darn cool.
The next match might even be up on the ESL Rainbow 6 account.
Very possible.
It's possible. But with no further ado, we are going to start things off with the newest map to the map pool, and one that is now as exciting to watch as it does look good. It is a gorgeous looking map. It has a 4th bomb site. The bottom floor bomb site's been retooled. There's a lot of changes, and we'll walk you through all of it as we get underway with map 1.
Yeah, I think the first day I got to actually come back home and play Kafe, I think I played it for like 6-7 hours, just the map. And I'm like, huh. This is very interesting. It was so weird in the beginning because, you know, you go down to 2nd floor and you're playing on there like, this is completely different to what I'm used to. This is not how it's supposed to work. But yeah, we're basically going to be guiding you through it as we explore things for ourselves, because this is just happening as we speak. Habana will be the first operator removed. Zofia as well. Usually we didn't get to see hard breach operators really removed on the map, so we didn't. Did we have operator bans when Kafe was still in? No. So we never got to see any of this. We're also not sure of how strong Mira is on the map. Maestro is always tough, and Zofia is as well. There's a lot of soft destruction. The ability to use the breaching charges as well as a secondary is also extremely important. It just means, oh yeah, I could forgo having a sledge or a buck, etc. It's a lot more flexibility if you're attacking the bottom 2 floors, just because you can really break down as much of the bars themselves for your own use. Now, Lion also, by the way, is back in Pro League, so we'll see if G2 bans that instantly. But for now, it'll be a switch to Monty. I don't think we're going to see too much of Lion. He's very much toned down of what he was before.
Still quite strong, just not as... I don't think he'll be as omnipresent as he has been before in the past. You know, he was maintaining pretty close to 100% play rate until operator bans came in, and then he ended up being one of the most banned operators. So we'll see what your hypothesis is and whether it comes true or not. Worth noting as well that both Gridlock and Mozzie, the 2 Australian operators, are able to be played now. So they are out of their 3-month review period. It's now Warden and Nook who will be in that review period. So they are not able to be played at all. So we might actually see the 3 armor on attack or the drone catcher on defense.
I mean, this is Pro League again. We don't have the ability to show you exactly how many drones are being used, how many are available, etc. throughout the round. But I can tell you one thing. If you don't have that information that you gather by using the drones and your teammates and your communication, you're not really going to be winning too well or too easily in professional play. So it's undeniable the effect that drones have on this level of competitive play. And that's why you wouldn't be really too surprised if you saw Mozzie in play on the defense. Again, his SMG is a pretty darn good weapon. Also, that reload animation on its own is more than enough for it. I'm pretty sure that's how they think about it in professional leagues.
So, one of the things that always characterized Kafe as a map was its verticality. Your ability to go up onto the very top of the map and jump on down through one of the hatches that existed at the top. Now there's a second hatch that's been added in place of the first one, and some of the coverage that you used to be able to see through that skylight at the top also has been covered up. So you can drop at the top of red stairs, which is exactly where Hungry is now, or just to the left of it. So Hungry will drop and immediately confront the barbed wire, and the secondary drop, which is being highlighted on your map, that's going to be the cigar balcony, I suppose you can call it. So it's much easier for the attackers to have coverage when they drop, and, well, just like the old Kafe, your first focus when you drop through that red hatch is going to be to take the wall out just inside of Cigar, and what a crippling blow that C4 from Penta will do to their team. Both Revan and Blast taking an awful lot of damage from Na'Vi down below.
That is an insane amount of damage early on in the round, and with the Monty, even if the Monty is in front of where the C4 gets thrown, the shield blocks the damage for himself, not for the people behind him. So don't make that mistake, because we did that in the past. It wasn't really fun. But with the Echo also being available, he's not going to be as prone to being assaulted from windows in the old Kafe or from the skylight itself. So you're going to be a lot safer if you want to play in the back. But this is a strategy we've seen many, many times, all the way back to 2018 and even 2017. Walk him down the one place he can't get shot from the bottom. Quick fire from Doki, try to take out one by the window, and Sir Boss will be the first one to fall in Season 10.
It's a bit of an interesting play from Penta there. I think Hungry was probably in a position to take more of Doki's, I guess, interest away, but it's a belated refrag by Revan on top of White Stairs. Will continue to march on up now as Citizen, as he sees the Montaigne from behind, but unable to do a significant amount of damage. That shield will come down to give him full coverage, and oh! Two from Kendrew will be overlooked by one from Hungry. It saves to finish off Hungry, and Na'Vi will grab their very first round in Pro League in quite convincing fashion. Penta really struggling to do more than just take control of the corridor by White Stairs, and Na'Vi had them every step of the way.
Yeah, Na'Vi very effective as just peeling off. They're playing this like an onion, because it very much is the case. A lot of crying at the end of it as well. They kind of are peeling off bit by bit. Like, okay, you want to take red stairs? That's fine. We will delay you as much as possible. Make sure that you have to watch your angles. You saw the Nomad, I believe, early on that was just watching the angle by the window on the outside on the rappel to make sure there's nobody on the run out in case there's a drop to contest it. Similar thing when it comes to that drop into the red stairs, and from then on, okay, you move on to piano, you have the thermite charge, you walk in there, but there's always somebody contesting you. And really, vertical play is going to be extremely important in New Kafe. And speaking of which, this is one of the sites that is going to be so important for vertical play. It's kitchen, and there's so much that you can do from the top floor. A smoke on this site, or even a mute in this case, is going to be amazing. You can have some impact grenades that have been used by the Legion as well, that can open up so much more room for firepower and so much room for activities here, Parker. It's not something that you used to think about back in the olden days of Kafe, and that soft floor is exactly why.
I'm always a sucker for a good Step Brothers quote, so thank you for throwing that one in there. Now, if we turn our attention to the site that's being played in round number 2, it's going to be a bit of an interesting site for people who are used to the old Kafe. Bear in mind that the old kitchen bakery bomb site used to be far more exposed. But with the changes to Kafe, you see that the B-bomb site is nestled a little bit deeper inside of the actual kitchen area. In fact, this expansion that Kafe has undergone, likely because of increased business, I would say, as we've seen our steady number of operators increase, has warranted a complete change to the way that bakery is played out. Now, Blast is going to walk right in, and very confusingly has no presence, and there might not be anybody watching him if Citizen doesn't have a camera up there. And now Blast can begin to strike and move towards the bar area down below. He's just in the smaller bakery. Doesn't have to worry about a rotate from his right because it's been castle barricaded off.
Yeah, and that's something that you can use to your advantage, of course, as the attacker in this case. Revan will move in. The entire wall is reinforced into the site itself and in the kitchen, but Revan's positioning will at least force one player away. I believe that was saves on the castle, and there you go. You're going to see him around the side. There's a lot of cover for him to play inside of the site, but this is why you bring the Monty. He's your walking massive drone that can be shot. Also, a Ying would have been a great operator to use in this situation for an assault.
So there is indeed a Valkyrie camera positioned over where Blast was. A great shot from him will take out Citizen after Citizen eliminated enemy earlier on, but this site might be a tough nut to crack without a hard destructor. And with Hibana being banned, it was a thermite in the hands of Penta. That will be no more. So You're just going to have to punch your way through now and rely on what limited soft destruction you might have in your hands if you're Penta. So, once again, Na'Vi appear, for the time being, to have a better understanding of this map than we see from Penta, but the night's still young.
Kendra all the way in the back, and Blast, there we go, using the verticality to his advantage. He spots one right by the bomb, and Nello will go down. Well done by a Blast on the Ash, and I'm going to try to go for the assault here with just having a tiny sliver of information in space. Blast again for the second on a save to take him out, but from the back, Doki with a beautiful flank will shut down Sir Boss, but the Monty is just going to stay in his position. Agumine thrown in his foot, and it will trigger Doki to turn around and just run away from him, trying to bait the shield off. And the 3v2, and Blast will find one on Kendra. Last alive, Doki, 39 seconds. Blast is going to be down here, little HP, but Doki's the one to try to do it. So a 1v1, is the Monty going to be enough to save the day? He puts the shield up, 30 seconds left. He turns around, the bait perfectly done here by Doki. And no, Hungry spraying down with the pistol. It's the Monty to save the day. And wonderfully done there at the end. Even ADS at the end. Nope, Hipfire Bonanza. And there you go. Close to clutch by the Legion, but Hipfire too strong.
I mean, when you're that close range, that's exactly what Hipfire is intended to do, is you don't have as much of a spread when your target is right in front of you.
Yep.
A couple things that have also changed about our spectating system that you might have noticed. Number one, in better color-coded numbers, you'll now see a 3v4, 4v4, 5v4, etc. flash upon your screen. It'll be updating with each kill. But additionally, worked in is very similar to our API on LAN events, is double kill, triple kill, quad kill, ace, etc. And you saw on your screen for a second there, Blast with the quad kill. It's going to make it a lot easier for both us and you to be able to keep track at home as to exactly what happens amidst the chaos and not having to rely solely off of reading a kill feed to try and figure out how many kills people have gotten. So some very strong additions to a spectating system that is going to make it easier for you to watch. But the real story of that round was the man that got the quad kill, Blast. He walked on in, he was under the camera that was thrown out by Citizen. It looks like it's going to be placed in the exact same position this time, and he's just going to wander off after he throws the camera down. So when Blast entered and went prone that entire time, it's very likely that Na'Vi knew that there was presence in that area. I think that's where Citizen was able to get the kill before he got refragged.
Yeah.
So he took matters into his own hands. The biggest problem for Na'Vi was they had no presence upstairs. Blast was able to just walk upstairs without anybody contesting him. He didn't have to worry about flank watch because nobody from Na'Vi seemed to be dispatched to go up there. And using that soft destruction, which Ash isn't always known for, able to open up kill holes and then dominate from above before coming back down to the site and getting tantalizingly close to an ace, dropping Doki down to, I think it was about 75 HP in the process before he got felled.
Well, one thing I'm kind of surprised that isn't being played, at least from the time I got to play around and watch matches on this map, which there wasn't much, is, again, the fact that Na'Vi are not really putting any manpower upstairs, but not just that, you know, you can use a lot of extra angles, you know, having a smoke, having a Legion upstairs, having the smoke to combo with a Bandit with his C4 also is fantastic. There's many, many angles that you have access to. And sure, if you're still afraid of the Monty, you bring the smoke, that's fine. But you can deal with it from the top floor as well. There's much better angles for you to find the head, to also just chuck down a smoke canister against him. And on top of everything, you can see the new animations for that clicking thing that they do, and it's so beautiful.
For the breaching round, of course, the breaching charge.
For breaching charge, smoke, everything that has to do with breaching, well, the thing activator in general.
So, the last time around, Penta lost their hard breacher first. Enemy fell as the opening frag for Na'Vi. Now, if you don't have hard destruction, as we saw, it's very difficult to be able to work in. You just have to go through one of the doorways that are there because you don't have a lot of other avenues. As you can see from Na'Vi's setup, they haven't really done much to open up rotate holes from the exterior of the site. Because of this, once you open up any portion of those reinforced walls, you have a much easier way on in, and that will be a successful job from enemy. He uses one of those exothermic charges to open up the wall that leads into the kitchen. So Penta will have a presumably much easier time with it this round. Looks like a second exothermic charge will grab the front bakery wall, and that's all the hard destruction that's been done. And I don't think Doki's been spotted over by the bar side of this bottom floor, and he could be a major wild card if he goes undetected this entire time.
I believe they have spotted him. He's taken a bit of damage. I think that was just a bit of a spray through the desk, but Blast on the walk-up will find one. Nello, quick refrag. Getting in here with his FMG-11. Ravon finding another one on the Doki with a quick refrag at Citizen. Hungry as well with the pistol up close and personal. 2v3 still the advantage here for Penta Sports. Citizen is trying to come around. They don't know where the diffuser is, and it gets shot down from the side as enemy walks on down. Hungry again will find a kill. A headshot on Nello. The Monty, I mean Hungry in general, not just the Monty himself, just doing so much work. It's not really something that we're not used to. It's just surprising when you see Hungry doing this sort of damage with a Montagne, which is usually an operator that gets swept aside as more of a support or your walking drone.
He's a very popular pick for Penta as well. You know,
yes.
Hungry will play the Ying an awful lot, but I would probably hazard a guess to say that Montaigne is his second most picked operator, maybe even his most picked, because there was a period of time where Ying was consistently banned against Penta whenever we saw them play. Interestingly, Na'Vi did a worse job, I think, of holding map control on the second part of their kitchen defense, but they had some pretty strong refrags. You notice that every kill that Penta got was answered almost immediately by Na'Vi until the very final 2 or 3 kills, which means that the setup was okay from Na'Vi. They got caught looking a couple times, and major kudos to Penta for bringing a completely different arsenal to attack kitchen the second time around. Now, as this map's meta still shakes out, it's going to be interesting to see which sites get played on it. Look at Coastline, look at Villa. The sites on the map that get played the most have changed as the map has gotten to become more familiar, similar to Clubhouse after its rework.
Yep.
Right now, we've seen Cocktail twice, as though the second defense for Cocktail was successful the first time for Na'Vi, and then Kitchen twice, which means that the usual secondary site on this map, which was for a long period of time that mining and dining hall room downstairs, not going to see it yet. We're also not going to see the new site, which is the reading room, dining hall room either. So the question becomes, if Na'Vi are successful here in Cocktail, do they go back down to Kitchen? Do they think that it is definitively the second best site on the map? Or do they go somewhere else? It also could be what they think happens to be their best strategies versus a better site.
Well, if you ask me, the big problem with that for the previous round was specifically that Penta adapted. They brought the buck because they realized in the previous round that, hey, they're not really putting any players on the top floor, on the second floor that is, so we don't really need to bring the Ash. The buck would just serve us as more utility, which is exactly what we need. So they adapted. Wasn't as much the case with Na'Vi, and they kind of played the same way as they did before, expecting like, okay, well, we lost at the end. It was a 1v2, 1v3. The Monty was really our biggest change, our biggest thing to deal with. We'll just run the smoke and, you know, Hail Mary it. And it didn't work out, unfortunately. So I don't think that site should be played again, unless there's a major change for Na'Vi.
This is great utility work here from Penta. You saw firsthand what Citizen was capable of doing with those Valkyrie cameras in the past, but he's got a hard counter in the IQ of Revan, and because Revan's going to be able to take out 2 black eye cams and 1 default cam as well, quite a bit of damage. And well, speaking of damage, trying to lay some fire onto Blast. This Blast will toy around the engine inside a mining room. There's 2 different members of Na'Vi present. Got a crossfire established by Nello, as Citizen is just unable to buy a shot onto that drone. But you got Nello in a position now where he's going to anticipate a push from over on Fireplace. He's got the Ash lying prone, not too far off. Blast could possibly open up a pretty good start for Penta here, but if he looks the wrong way, it's going to be almost certain death. Takes out Citizen as Nello doesn't appear to peek too much, and well, he can't do all that much. There's going to be a drone that gets tossed out. He gets spotted, and he'll have to scamper off. So very good entry for Penta so far.
Yeah, and the problem there was Na'Vi were expecting the Ash to move Blast, but he just waited for the drone to come in and give him the information. It's very well done, very well read. And you see this sort of half reinforcement style that, you know, we're used to seeing on maps like Coastline with a Maestro in play. Not the case in this one. And a quick peek from Doki. He'll find the kill, take down Sir Boss, and then scamper off as fast as possible. Now enemy has to watch his back, but Hungry in the meantime taking a bit of damage from the goo mine set on the floor. Ravon watching rotations through White Stairs, and nobody moving through there as of yet. Blast still holding down the bottom. They know there's one player back in the freezer, but enemy's afraid to peek. You see the opposite end of the basic air hallway. It's pretty difficult to deal with. And we head to the 12 seconds left in the round. Doki trying to check through the smoke, but Nello will find one. That's at least the IQ eliminated. Kendra with another onto Hungry as enemy continues to drone. He gets shot down on the last second. Kendra, well done! And Doki will find the last one at the last second as well. Very well done by Navi here. Just pulling back, allowing Penta, or basically putting Penta in a position where they feel super comfortable with taking, and then immediately running up and collapsing together on their opponents. 2v1, this is always something that can play against.
So the first time that we saw Penta enter, they struggled on the hallway getting towards the top of White Stairs. They couldn't really seem to get past it. Whether they were going for a cocktail table plant, whether they were going for the middle of Cocktail Lounge, not entirely certain. This time, the struggle for Penta was to be able to translate from the top of Red Stairs. They held control of Piano for about half of the round before it got taken back by a good push from Navi. They ascended White Stairs. They took the cocktail portion. They had the roam capabilities because of a rotate hole into that back storage room of the bar, and then Navi were able to push them out. And once that happened, you couldn't really get through the doorway to the actual cocktail lounge area. So really excellent job anchoring down the eastern side of, or well, actually the eastern and the northern side of this map. For Penta, that's going to be a challenge moving forward. So 2 successful defenses of the cocktail lounge upstairs means, well, you go back to kitchen if you're Navi, but you've lost it twice, so where are you going to go now? We're going to go to the newest site here, which is the reading room and dining hall site.
And it really is a site that has a lot of potential. I mean, before, if you remember, obviously it wasn't here, it was more by the Steam engine. So this is where it got moved more to reading room, because even when the bomb was in that position before, reading room was always a linchpin to the defense. You were required to hold it. If you remember, EG was a big player with that. It'll have Canadian with a pulse that used to stay in reading room. Changes as time went along allowed that position now to be the main part of the site. Now, Blast can't be as effective when it comes to breach, but it'll be able to come around the side here on the stairs, and we'll find the first kill on Doki. Just no information here for Doki to play off of. Doesn't really hear Blast walking up the stairs. Very good entry from Penta.
And Doki's been pivotal on those 2 successful cocktail defenses for Navi. So not only do you have one of the 3 speeds, the only 3 speed that Navi is actually running at the moment, gone, you've got probably the best weapon on defense in the carbine that comes with Jaeger, and then you've got a very important and pivotal player in the way that he's played. So Penta's entry has been quite decent, with the exception of the cocktail lounge upstairs. Even last round, they had an okay entry, but weren't able to do much transitioning outwards. Now Penta's focus is going to be able to take map control above both of the sites. We'll see what they can muster, because we don't actually have any evidence from Pro League as to how teams defend and attack this site. But as with every single site, your vertical presence is going to be incredibly important. And if you can try and take away some of the protection in that ceiling above the defenders, then you're in very good shape. It also appears that Blast is crouch walking his entire way through the map. He's going from the first floor now up to the brown stairs, which have been relocated. And at any moment, could possibly break on up towards pillars. But he's going to eat a lot of damage, almost be totally taken out of the match by Citizen before he descends back down the stairs.
Just crab dancing up his way. It's like the spy again, all over again. But Citizen on his own again in the reading room, but he's getting information. There's people that are coming back and helping him out. This is really slowing down Penta, which is really something that you're looking for on this site. You look at it, the entrance directly to the reading room is very easy to get to. It's just the fact that you want the attackers to lose so much time before they actually get to it that you are able to really just play those small angles that you saw, the holes in the walls that were open. And again, this kind of vertical level destruction is extremely important in this situation.
For the time being, all this control that's been taken over by Penta hasn't done much at all. Citizen's going to take out Hungry, so down goes your set of smokes, down goes the shield, and Navi are in a position to now clamp on in towards this site. You've got the stairs being patrolled by 2 separate members of their team. You've got Kendra in a position now just to gun down Revan on the fadeaway as he drops. Saves will get in on the action, and Navi are looking to have a complete and total lockout, and were it not for Doki's death at the start of this round, it would be a flawless round for Navi. So the kitchen, okay, you went there twice, it didn't work. You made some magic happen on the reading room there, and at worst, you're going to draw this first half as we now go to the very final defense for Navi.
Yeah, and again, we are, all of us, as we're going through this day and for the next couple weeks, we're kind of discovering how Kafe in general is going to run for competitive play, how the metagame is really going to shape up, not just when it comes to operators, because I think it's more of a simple way of looking at it, but just the way you build a strategy. It's when people say, oh yeah, well, we developed strats for this site, it doesn't really mean much. It's just the strategy is not something that you can reliably run from start to finish, go through A to Z every single time you play the map or the round. What you have to think of is, well, what I'm going to do first is have this part of the checklist in my head. I have to go take control of this area. I have to go and open up these floorboards. And once I do that, then it depends on how I can flex and communicate with my teammates. In this case, Penta have had success with it, but really in the second where all of this falters and just falls for a moment, you see Na'Vi just turning it up to 11 and collapsing completely on them. They are so good, at least from what we've seen so far, at exploiting those small lulls and dulls in Penta's strategy and in the moments that they're kind of trying to take in everything that's around them. It's a lot of information, especially with a new map and new sites. So there's not much in terms of negative things that you can say. It's okay. You will lose sites like that and attacks like that until you learn how to deal with it. It's all brain.
If you're a fan of Na'Vi, you're hoping that this one goes better for them and they'll be able to emerge as a victor on their first half. The first half ever played here.
Britannia rolls the cakes is what we're going to be calling it now. This is bakery. Haha.
Very similar entry that we saw from the Ashe last time around, but oh, Doki is getting so aggressive and gets spotted. He'll need to get out of there, and oh, Blast missing his shots means that Doki will stay alive for the time being, but that could have been a very easy kill for Penta to start off in the first 45 seconds.
Yeah, and you see the Monty just immediately getting into the kitchen. He knows that there's nothing that Na'Vi can do against him in this position. The maximum they can do is use up some of their smokes. Now, Nello's on the floor. What a lot of smokes will do is play from the top here and just use the tarp to their advantage and shoot down into the Monty or have their smoke canisters they can use and then drop at the end by the back by the fridge. And it's a very safe location to run this sort of strategy. Doki's taking a bit of damage, so has Hungry. And Kentaro as well. Enemy will come in from behind and start to use his exothermic charge. There's more than enough time for it, but you see the drones in the meantime here from Penta just moving in and giving enemy in the squad information. Blast again with the entry. This is such a classic Blast move. Doki eliminated.
And Doki was under fire for an entire 90 seconds. You know, he got droned out very early on, and even though they weren't able to capitalize on the onset, they recovered gracefully. And because of that, Penta have now found themselves once again getting the very first kill. Now, it doesn't always guarantee that they're going to be able to walk away with the round. Doki as a sacrifice seems to bode well for both teams, as it tends to go back and forth. Very interested that there's no breach denial here being employed by Na'Vi. I mean, that's because Sir Boss has been running a Thatcher most of the time, so you're probably going to lose it. Maybe a smart call. We saw mute a little bit, but haven't really seen much else to try and keep these walls intact, which means that they're essentially completely free for Penta to just be able to open them up. Enemy doing double duty there as he not only takes the wall out, but then also takes out saves. He's joined by Sir Boss. Sir Boss still looking for his very first kill. The ultimate support operator for the time being, surveying those openings that have been created inside of the site. It's Kendra who's now under fire, and Na'Vi don't seem to have too much as there goes the Monty yet again to take out Kendra, leaving an awful lot of weight on the shoulders of Nello and Citizen. Down goes Citizen. Nello's last alive, and well, this might be a fool's errand for his team as it's Revan with a big double kill. A flawless round from Penta coming out. And Kitchen is not where Na'Vi's able to cook up much at all. We'll move towards Penta's defense with 3 unsuccessful defenses for Kitchen under Na'Vi's belt.
Can I just say that pop-up flawless round is so sexy? Like, there's no way around it.
You may say that.
I may say that. I will say that.
I grant you permission.
What do you mean? I've been doing this for longer than you have.
Well, you asked, can I just say? Who else are you asking? I give you permission. Sanctioned.
Thank you, my lord.
You're very welcome.
But, yeah, it seems like there wasn't much being cooked there. It was just, let's order tea and crumpets and see how this goes from Na'Vi on the site. And I think now and as the week continues, we will find out if this is inherent to the side itself or just this is how the strategy wasn't really working for Na'Vi. So I think it's way too early to judge that sort of thing. Penta will go for the kitchen as their very first site, and they will go for an Echo as well. Now, it's interesting that they grab the Rook in this case, not just for the ACOG, but also in case there's grenades. there will be some, of course, to be used by Doki. And seeing how Na'Vi were playing on the defense and realizing how Penta were trying to deal with them, especially in those closed-up positions where they were, learning from Blast, will probably be going for the top floor kind of play and have some extra angles to set up against their opponents there.
Just to add on to that, because some people might be confused when you say, why bring a Rook if there's grenades? Well, it's because if you get hit with the grenade, it's a down with Rook armor on. So you're in a position where you might not be insta-killed the same way that you would, you know, where they're not time for serious protection.
It's still, the revive is not 50 HP anymore, right?
It's only 20, but it's still, the you know, player with 20 HP can still frag well. You can still frag well with 1 HP. It really comes down to the way that the teams play this. So going immediately to kitchen for Penta as we look towards round number 7 as the teams have switched sides. Obviously feeling confident not just on this site as an attacking team, but now also as a defending team. And the setup is completely different from Penta Sports, and the lineup being brought out from Na'Vi is very different as well. You noted the frag grenades that were on board for Doki, for Sledge. It's an awful lot of soft destruction that's going to be in Doki's hands. It was being played by the Buck-Ash combo that Blast was on for Penta. Additionally, you don't have to worry about any late flanks. You got some relief with 3 air jabs in the hands of Citizen. You see an early frag grenade get tossed on down here. Oh no, but Doki misses it. Obviously very unhappy. That could have been an opening frag too for Na'Vi, as he did appear to have one member of Penta in his sights.
Yeah, and that was the strategy that I was talking about. Taking it from the top floor like that really gives you a lot of flexibility later on in the round. Of course, if you hit the grenade, it's even better. But at least it gives you a lot of flexibility. Now, Kendra's thinking is, okay, well, if we can't go from the front, let's try to go in from the freezer. Now, that really puts you in a bit of a different situation. Doki is very important in this situation to open up the barricade and have the extra angle to move up. Citizen, well done, just holding down the angle. Hungry, well, the first one eliminated with Kendra taking a bit of damage.
That was a 3-person execution there from Na'Vi. You had Doki smash open the castle barricade while both Nello and Citizen watched from different angles. Beautiful shot from Kendra to completely behead enemy. So the Thermites have been fragging out in this matchup by being able to open these kitchen walls, putting a lot of pressure on, and then doing the rest of the work themselves. Penta over by the bakery side will now move in towards cooking and then continue on marching towards the back side of the kitchen as they're in the prep area. It's going to be Doki to take out Sir Boss, and this kitchen just does not bode well for any defender. It's another flawless round, this time in favor of Na'Vi, as all the action happens so swiftly, and they'll regain the lead, but something is just not working for the site for the defense. If you're Penta and you win here first, that is a problem because that might show that it's not the best site for you to play on. You'll have to go somewhere else, and making no mistake about it, Penta will pick Cocktail Lounge, which was flawless for Na'Vi on defense. Penta will also test that theory now.
Now, one thing I want to highlight, which is something we just got to see at the end of the round, is that Na'Vi saw the way that Penta's defense was set up, and that's why they attacked from the freezer side. And for me to dig deeper into it, it's because on round 7, Penta had a rotation hole, a flexibility hole that they opened up from the kitchen into bakery. And you saw they had one reinforcer with another rotation hole into the second side of the bakery, basically where there's the window. And that's something that forced Na'Vi to flex and go from the other side of the map. And that's why you saw it, at least from my perspective. It made a lot of sense to go for that sort of strategy rotation. So, yeah, you don't really want to deal with your opponents. There was an Echo drone as well that was in support of the defenders. So in general, something that's a bit too risky for you on the attacking side to just go in the way that we saw Hungry moving with the Monty before. But here, we're going to see another setup on the top floor by the bar, and reinforcements will be set up as well here by the Red Hatch.
Once again, not a lot of similarities with what we're going to see out of these teams. You're going to have your breach denial as well as information denial in this instance with the mute on the board, and Clash being a very popular operator for Penta. They like running the Montana on attack. They like running the Clash on defense as well. Nothing too surprising there. And they'll be sticking with the Echo as well. That's going to put Sir Boss in a position where he might not be in charge of getting kills, but he'll be positioned to get the intel to help his team capitalize off of that. And if Penta wants to be able to stay in this match and not possibly lose any greater ground, then they're going to need all the intel that they can get. Don't forget the fact that Clash also tends to be an intel operator too, because while you can't put pressure on her the same way, she can see through that shield and relay all the information that she has to the rest of her team. So as we saw from Na'Vi on attack, Penta's going to be able to take control of these two hatches quite easily, quite effectively. Navi's going to be able to just push on in, and while they're going to be confronted immediately by a Capital, who is going to be excellent at being able to drop the shield, but no need as it's Citizen. His enemy turns his back, and Na'Vi getting 2 very early kills with a minute into the round. This is a banger of a start if you're a fan of the mixed British squad from Na'Vi. And they have an awful lot of control and have taken out 2 very important operators for Penta. A lot of utility gone. They'll keep that utility now resting in the hands of the Echo and the Smoke, and hope that Blast is going to be able to make the same kind of magic on defense as he did on attack.
I'm trying to burn him out of position here. Another flash will be thrown in, but just leaving Blast in that same location at least will give Save some sort of hold onto him. And see the Capital going all the way up to the top, and he'll have some extra line of sight from the skylight, some smokes to use as well by the end of the round for the assault. There's a lot of time here, and Citizen is waiting for the drone of his Thermite to move in and give him info on any player that's stuck all the way in the back here in the freezer, and there is one. It's going to try to pre-fire into him, and Citizen will find him, but Sir Boss will refrag to take him out.
Sir Boss will break the streak that he had of finding the scoreboard, and he's going to need to do a couple more as it's going to be all up to him now. Blast falls, and Sir Boss lighting up another. He'll find kill number 2 on Doki. Marching on down the corridor, heading over towards Piano. He's got some marks from the rest of his teammates. Diffuse going down, and well, Kendrew could actually get spotted here very easily, but no, the deployable shield that was put down by Penta will actually be their own undoing. A 3rd kill for Sir Boss as he's firing up the engines. Diffuser going down, though, will give him a clock to work against, as Na'Vi will just need to hold off. You've still got a Capitao and a Thatcher on the board, with the Diffuser going down 1/3 of the way. 2/3 remaining, and Sir Boss not knowing exactly where to go from here. He might be blind on intel. He'll find another body, looking for kill number 4, but Nello will get it. He'll push a 2nd round in a row for Na'Vi onto the board. 5-3 right now, 1 round away from securing themselves a singular point, at which would be enough to give them sole ownership of this leaderboard, at which everybody is currently tied at 0.
I don't think we're going to see the bakery again, or kitchen at this point.
I mean, at this point, what are you going to do, right? The cocktail lounge was almost a flawless round until Sir Boss went off in the dying seconds of the round. It was still better, but there were also a couple mistakes from Penta that if they can shore up and not commit a second time, they're going to be in a lot better position. Number 1, that very early kill, I believe it was by Citizen, to take out the Mute. Very damaging. That's a C4 off the board. That's a shotgun at close range. That's also the SMG-11. You can play mid to longer range with that if need to. And then also the Clash, who was completely ineffective because she turned the wrong way and got gunned down immediately from the hatch. Very bad timing from Penta. And those, series of unfortunate events that happen, if you don't replicate them, you give your team a much better fighting chance. That was by no means a flawless round from Na'Vi on the way they marched on in and got the execute down. There were some gaps in their play, and the fact that they weren't set up for any trades goes to show you that the way that Na'Vi were caught transitioning off of that diffuser, the Thermite goes down, and Sir Boss has an opportunity to possibly take out the remaining 2 members, despite the fact that I believe it was the Capitao still on the roof, which would have made it very challenging. Possibly doable. Seen teams make that shot, but it's still extremely challenging. Means that as long as Penta doesn't commit those same mistakes at being a little too aggressive and not having somebody looking in that certain direction at the wrong time, it gives you a good fighting chance.
Yeah, at that point, the Capitao had already used his 2 firebolts, so it's not like he had much flexibility when it comes to just, killing someone with that, but your gun is going to do the work in that situation, and the angle is very difficult to hit from the defender's point of view. So again, you can't fault someone for being in that situation and not quote-unquote clutching it. It's just the fact that the round was a loss for the team because they broke down in situations where they shouldn't have, because they didn't have the correct information or couldn't really play correctly off of it. But Na'Vi looking to secure at least 1 point at the end of the day. They'll need 6 rounds on the board. This is the difference between ranked play and Pro League. You need 7 rounds to really win the whole game. You get 3 points at the end of it if you do win. And however, if you tie a 6-6, well, you're getting 1 point at the end. Because these are best of ones. Kangaroo will take a bit of damage here off of the set up by the cloud, but then he'll just fall back and open up the wall. Blast's actually going to try to fight against him here, but he's going to be picked up and fired upon. No, he finds it somehow, but the double refrag from Doki will be more than enough.
Look at they lined up for Doki there, and that was once again a mistake being committed by Penta, as you can't really predict that with the way that Doki's playing. Playing over by Cigar Balcony now, though. This is one of the areas that were opened up, and his position is given away. If there's a C4 underneath him, it could possibly go off, but you don't see a C4 in the hands of any of the members of Penta, as enemy's going to be running the impact grenades, and well, Echo and Smoke don't have that available to their loadout. This fire arrow is going to do an awful lot of damage, though, and it's going to be enemy taking so much heat as he'll move out of the way. He's over on the Cocktail Balcony, the other extension that was added on the other side of the map. Missed shot from Doki, but he'll pick up his third kill and march on forwards. There's an Echo drone that was above, watching him. We'll have to be very wary that he's under watch and key. Grenade gets tossed on in, Sir Boss falls, and Hungry will have to do multiple duties, but he won't be able to do it. It's Citizen and Nello to get the final 2 kills of the round, and that's 1 point for Na'Vi. And they're first overall right now in Pro League. Yes, it's the first match, but we'll give it to them. They're brand new to Pro League. One more win, and Na'Vi will be able to put this away on Kafe Dostoevsky.
Yeah, and one has to wonder, is this the start of Penta kind of going under a bit? Or is it really just, yeah, it's the first day and it's the brand new map and they're really not completely sold on it or comfortable with it? Usually that's the case. So I wouldn't really be harsh or judge Penta on anything so far. It's just there's some odd mistakes here and there in the round. Like we saw the 2 players just kind of lining up for Doki to get the 2K in piano, and you're like, well, when you give Na'Vi these sorts of openings, of course they're going to take them. It's just when you're now in Pro League level, every single mistake you make is going to be easily exploited by your opponents, and it's just going to flip the whole round on its head. But we'll see a reading again, the second time in total here today. Blas bringing out Mozzie, and not surprising at all. They've been seeing so far that Na'Vi's execution is built off of knowing who is where. So, information game, very important. Also, that means drones are going to be something you need to watch for, and one deals with them excellently. Well, it's Blas with the Mozzie and that pest launcher. In professional play, it really cannot be underestimated, the true power of information gathering. Without it, the best teams in the world wouldn't really be in the place that they are.
Do you think that information has been the downfall of Penta, though? Because I don't necessarily think that Penta has been blind to the information. In fact, the Echo has been in play for Penta every single round. Most of Na'Vi have been spotted because of it. I think Na'Vi's just been doing a better job with their drones to be able to figure out where Penta is, and Penta has repeatedly taken those engagements when maybe they shouldn't have against a team that isn't missing at the moment.
Well, that's exactly what I'm saying. If Penta are losing the gunfights, it's because not just the 1v1 itself, but because they're giving Na'Vi the ability to get the information and relay it back to their players and establish those crossfires, or give their fragger, for example, Doki in this situation, the ability to pre-aim and be ready for anybody coming around the corner. It's just when you eliminate that from play, you don't have to worry about it as much. So that's the mindset behind bringing the Mozzie.
Doki and Saves here both doing as much work as they can to try and isolate one of the roamers that are positioned just under the skylight, but Na'Vi having a party on red stairs for the time being. This Nomad has been very crucial for Na'Vi to lock down the corridors and prevent Penta from being able to rotate. Just simply having a Nomad on the board is enough to stop most roamers from going through certain areas. It's going to be a frag grenade that sails over the head of Ravon, and Hungry pushes on up, takes out Doki. It looks like it might be a second kill here, as indeed it will be. Kendra will trade one out, but it's still an advantage in favor of Penta, as they start off this round better than they have on any defense so far, and they need to close a gap 3 rounds in order to keep this one in play for Penta to be able to get 1 point.
Now we'll continue on. It's 3v4. Na'Vi have still 2 exothermic charges to play with, so it's going to allow them to come in from the back, but if you're a man down in the situation, you either get the frag on enemy in this case, because he's taking so much damage, or what you're at least looking for is control the top floor. And this is where, because they're confined spaces, the defenders are going to have a lot of flexibility to deal with you. There's many angles that they can run against you and predict, because what are you going to do, jump over the railing? Yeah, sure, you have the back red stairs, but they're very predictable at this point. You're looking at this here as Kendra just walks around the corner, so drone to jump on in. This should give more than enough information to Hungry in the back on the mute. Just pull back and await Kendra coming in.
There's been an audible called as well, as you saw Na'Vi rotate with a minute to go, so they're going to go for something completely different as Penta just pushes on back. Penta still holds quite a lot of map control, as they're going to lose some of it with an exothermic charge going off from the Thermite. And on the windows, you see quite an abundance of Na'Vi members. They hold themselves at a disadvantage, and they'll have to drop one body for the defuse. That'll be Kendra who picks up another kill, but oh no! Team damage being established, and a swing on in from Saves as he's last alive, but incredibly telegraphed through the window, very vulnerable. Penta will break this deadlock that they found themselves in, or this drought, I suppose, that they found themselves in here on defense. They'll take their very first defending round on Reading Room, but they'll have to go to another site that they've yet to win. And this entire time, Na'Vi will ride match point until the conclusion of this map.
Yeah, 2 more rounds here for Penta. I mean, it is interesting to highlight at this point for newcomers to Pro League that are watching the online season versus if you came in and chimed during Milan. It's a bit different here. We don't have the usual best of 3 because the tournament is done in a different way. But Na'Vi have 100% secured 1 point at the end of the day. It's up to Penta to see, okay, can we get something back as a redemption, or will we just lose the whole thing? And you're going back down to Kitchen. It's been a site that both teams have been very weak on. Penta played it as their first set as well. So far, no one has won it, and it was played 3 times in total. Maybe this is going to be the one. But from what we've seen so far, it requires much more top map control, because just putting everybody on the bottom floor, it just means that you get shot from different angles, ones that you can't really deal with anyways because you don't have the guns to deal with it. And then you put in, oh yeah, there's a sledge with grenades, and then there's a Capitao, and there are more angles that are going to be opened by the Thermite. What do we do then? I guess we'll just die.
It hasn't been a better map for defenders than the previous Kitchen Bakery that we saw, but it has been the most popular site on this map, which is interesting because you almost rarely see Kitchen Bakery played on the old Kafe, maybe once, maybe twice at absolute most. Because keep in mind, Kafe was in before the 3-site rotation. Kafe was in when it was a 2-site rotation. So in theory, you didn't need to go back to Kitchen Bakery on that bottom floor ever, because you only needed to defend 2 sites. And a big part of why Kafe got removed, I would speculate, is because they instituted a rotation that would have really hurt the defenders on the Kitchen Bakery bomb site on the first floor.
And it was a terrible site as well.
It was a much more frustrating site for the defense to be able to hold in a variety of different ways. But now it's the most popular site, and while it hasn't exactly been successful, there's a reason why it's been picked as much as it has. And I guess that frequency is likely due to the fact that these teams assume it's a defendable site. So if you're Penta, that's the hope, because you're running out of time. You still have 2 rounds. You're fighting for 1 point. Na'Vi has secured themselves a singular point, and they're going to try to continue on what have been 4 defenses of Kitchen and 4 attacking victories. This is, trial number 5. They've used about a minute so far, and there hasn't been an opening kill yet, which is actually a bit strange because Kafe so far has been defined by quite early action.
Well, Penta again will go for the Vigil and the Echo combo, so they're going to have that if they combo it correctly. Citizen will win out the fight against Blast, so your usual early round entry has now been removed. The player that has had the most effect for Penta Sports taken away, and it's not looking too great here, even if Citizen and Kendra have taken a bit of damage themselves. Drones will start to fly into the site and get info on any player that's on there. You see Kendra as well. There's one player right behind the cooking equipment, but he's going to stay alive for just a second. Flashbang into the back as the enemy will find one here on the Vigil, but Kendra and Citizen for 2 of their own. Hungry all on his own as Kendra has gotten 1 more on Sir Boss, and Kendra with 3K to end the round. That's Hungry taken away. Natus Vincere will get the first victory of Pro League Season 10 and of EU Pro League, of course. 7-4 victory for the British squad on our latest map, Kafe Dostoyevsky.